So the other day, as I was walking my daughter to school, I was talking with a parent, and they were telling me that their kids were very interested in games and they wanted to be a games developer when they will grow up. He was asking me what kind of ways is there to actually kind of like get into the games industry? What are the many ways that you can get? What is the clear path? Is there one path or is there many paths? And as I was answering that question, I realized that I never really answered this question here in this channel. I talk about the details and how to navigate the games industry, but I think I never have made a video specifically to this subject. Games still to this day are kind of nebulous, and you can have a degree or a course in games design, but that does not guarantee you a job in this games industry, right? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the many ways that you can get into the games industry, because I think it's fascinating and I've been through a few of them, and I think we need to talk about the pros and cons, how difficult it is, depending on what you choose. So let's do this in this video next. Let's do it. Alright, so welcome to another video. I hope you all is well. My name is Harvey Newman. I like to share my passion for games, animation, and games development here in this channel with all of you. So, as I was telling you guys, I was speaking with this parent, and he was telling me how fascinating it is that there is the multiple ways to get into the games industry. And immediately I was thinking on the way back home, how awesome would that be to actually make a video about this situation, about how to get into it. The games industry, unlike more traditional roles, such as, you know, an architect, a doctor, there is like a specific path that everybody should follow. And then it really is depending on like your grind and your skills and all that stuff. Games is not exactly that way, mostly because it's a relatively new industry. So there is three ways that are basically like the most known ways of you getting in the industry. And I'm going to talk about only these three ways. But if you look at my live chats with, which is my interview series that you guys should check it out. I'll link it down below so you guys can see it. All the animators that I interview, both game animators, film animators, 3D generalists, you realize that as you read or as you listen, as you watch the interviews that I make, everybody has different paths to get into the games industry. And it's very interesting to actually always hear their stories on how they actually made it in. Because some people did a course, some people were just talented, some people got an internship, some people did a degree, some people just, you know, stumbled upon it. But no matter how you flip it, there's different paths, many different paths to get into the games industry. So I'm going to talk about three only mainly because they are the most popular ones. So the three entries that I know of that I think that most people, you know, in general, actually get into this industry are either like you are incredibly talented and people see your show reel, see your portfolio, and therefore they hire you. No matter if you have a degree or if you don't, you actually will get in. The second one is an internship. You actually go ahead and get an internship in a company, and therefore you get a job. The third one is QA. You actually start as a quality assurance tester. You actually test games for a living, and therefore you actually get into the industry because you're testing games, you're helping out the game, and you are in games development. Now, I want to take a moment to actually talk about these three different entries into the games industry because there's a lot of pros and cons, and some are more difficult than others. Now, I'm going to start with QA because this is how I started, or how I get into the industry. It was very interesting. The other day I was being asked on a podcast about my beginnings and how I started. And I really stumbled upon it in early 2000s, 2001. And I had a friend that worked as a QA, as a quality and assurance, I think it's called. I think that's what the QA stands for. Basically, it means that you just play games 8 hours a day, every single day for a living, right? And you get paid for it. So when I started as a certification tester, which means that I was testing many different games every single week for Microsoft, for the Xbox Live games, which was just the beginning of the online gaming, which is exciting. I was actually doing that every single day, every single week, and it was a lot of fun. I realized that then how stressful it is. And here's the problem with starting with QA. First one, everybody likes to play games. However, you playing the same game 8 hours a day, every single day for potentially a year or two or 3 or 4 is gonna get to you. and it's going to be work, and it's going to not be fun, no matter how fun the game is. If you play it over and over and over again, it's going to feel tiring, and you're going to get sick of the game, because this is what you have to do for a living. But most importantly, you have to keep it professional, and you have to find bugs, because this is what you need to do. Now, QA is hard. It's really hard. People actually undermine QA a lot, both in the industry and outside of the industry, because you really think if you're outside, you're playing games all day, great, man, you must have it super easy. And then in the industry, there's another problem of like seeing QA as an outside department from actual game development, because you're not really kind of like developing anything. So like an animator or a coder or an engineer, you're pumping things into engine all the time to make sure that the game gets better day by day. QA is just testing the results of those things getting in. And this is something that I found in QA. You are seen as like the outside department, and even though you're part of the game, you're gonna get credits in the game, you're kind of not really like part of the game, and you're not treated like some of the others. And this is not everywhere. Lots of companies actually treat their QA incredibly well. However, I work for some big companies as QA, and I was kind of treated as like, you know, just stay in your place, tell us what the bugs, and then we'll go and fix it. That's it. That's all we need to know. So shout out to all the QA, because you guys are incredibly important. Without QA, game bugs and things that aren't seen and things that are not tested when you are actually developing the game would actually go through the cracks, and then you'll get a mess of a game. So QA is very important and is amazing for you to start, but just be mindful that it's a grind. So if you actually want to get into the games industry and you want to grind hard to get into whatever you actually want to do, it's great, but you need to be ready for the work. Now, the benefits of QA are that you get a sense for what the games industry is, what kind of things you like, especially if you don't know exactly where to start. So if you don't know if you want to be an artist, an engineer, an animator, whatever it is, if you just love games and you want to be a game developer, but you don't know exactly what to do, I think that QA is an amazing way for you to start, because you get a feel for all the departments, how they work. You get to speak with people, ask them questions if they have time, and then you get to actually have a feel for what they do, how they do it, and then maybe you actually find your path forward. And in a lot of companies, QA is seen as like what happens before you actually get a proper, like, you know, developer job. So you actually start into QA, and if you do a good job and if you're very thorough and if you show passion, then if you actually want to be an artist, they were like, okay, so in this case, like, let's start as an intern artist and see where you go. And then if you show potential and if you show that you actually really care for this, then you have people helping you out, and then in due time, hopefully you'll get to be whatever you decide to be in development, which is exactly what most QA wants after a few years of doing QA. Now let's talk about the internship, because this is the second tier of a path that is more sure-footed, because most universities out there, most courses out there that actually say you can have a job at the end of this, what they're really offering is like an internship in a company somewhere. So for example, the Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, they are really big at doing game development, game design courses, right? And then within those courses, they replicate what a game environment is, and then they have animators and they have artists and engineers, and everybody comes together and they start to create prototypes, and they work in Unreal or they work in Unity, and you get a feel for what games are like. And I think it's absolutely amazing, because I never had that in my time. What happens is that those universities have guaranteed amount of students that can be allocated to a studio. So DICE would have to actually then have a certain amount of internships within a company every single year, and out of those interns, what DICE company, any company is looking to do is basically hire quite a few of those as a junior animator, artist, engineer, whatever it is, right? So it works really well for both university and company, because they get to actually see fresh talent, and then this as a company, and as a university, you actually get a door into a professional environment, which is great. However, this is very unique to the Nordic countries at this point. I wish more countries did that. There's a few universities here in the UK that do that, and probably a few around the world that do that as well, but it's very few and far between, unfortunately. That is probably where the industry is heading next. I think that model most likely is going to expand, and you actually going to get more of a sure-footed path towards that games industry, which is going to be great. Now, internships are really good, because they allow you to actually have a little preview of what the industry is. And normally when you get an internship in what you are passionate about. So you would have actually selected at uni your choosing of profession in the games industry. So you have like with your path, let's say you're an animator, you go down that path, and then at that point when you start your internship, you intern as an animator, right? So now you have a mentor, not a mentor, but maybe a buddy, like a senior animator, a mid-level animator that can be with you, that can show you how things are done, and therefore you can actually like learn from them. Now, you have to be careful here because people study in universities, because they know there's going to be a path to actually work in a specific studio. There's a sense of like, I just need to pass my grades and then make it to make sure that I get into the industry, and therefore I'll be guaranteed at some point in the future a job in the industry. And that is a false illusion, because this industry is super hard and it relies on talent a lot, and especially the bigger the company, the harder it is, because they can hire people all over the world. The thing that you need to be careful of is to be complacent in that idea that because you actually got an internship in a studio, you're going to get a job in the future, because that does not guarantee it. And most interns don't get a job because of this attitude of like, I earned it, or I feel like it's mine already. And then you become complacent, and therefore you don't do the job that you need to do to get into the industry, right? You need to actually always grind and show your passion and make sure that you actually are as professional or more professional than the people around you when you're doing an internship. Now, the third and final path, so this video doesn't become super big, is talent. And by talent, I mean having undeniable talent, so people can actually, or studios around the world can just hire you because you are that dude, you are that woman, that person that actually kind of like are absolutely amazing, right? You need to just grind incredibly hard to make sure that you are like at a level that impresses people, even though perhaps you haven't been in the industry yet. Your show reel is at this level, right? A good example here is normally like how show reels are nowadays if you want to get into film. Show reels for anybody that wants to actually work on a Into the Spider-Verse or wants to work at Pixar or Disney, their show reel is pretty much at the level that needs to be for a professional senior animator that has been doing films for many years, and their animations are incredibly polished and smooth, and it's like, this is feature film quality, is amazing, like this guy needs nothing. That is basically what you need to do in order to actually be that talented dude, right? Grind incredibly hard to get to a level where somebody can look at your show reel and be like, this person is ready to sit next to me and start working. I don't even have to showcase anything to this person. This person is ready to start working. Obviously, that is not really the truth, because no matter how talented you are, you need to still learn about the engine, the implementation, how a studio works, all the ups and downs, the politics. There's so many things that you have to wrap your head around. So obviously you're going to be green. But you having undeniable talent, no matter where you are in the world, especially now that people can work from home, is another clear path for you to get into the industry. Now, when I started many years ago, that pure talent path was much more easier and also much more clear, because there was no internships. It was only like QA, or you actually had to have talent. There was nothing in between. There was no universities doing game design or game courses that you could actually take to get into university. So it was very much like a black box that you just have to, hope for the best. But now things are getting better, and the industry is getting more experienced. The more people want to get into games, the more easy it's going to be for you to actually make it in, right? But at the same time, more talent is going to pop up and more competition, so you need to make sure that grinding is going to be your best trait, like making sure that you're actually there every day. Doesn't matter if it's at home working on your show reel, or if you're actually doing QA. And if you're an intern, then make sure that you prove to any studio that you go to that you're not just an intern, that you're a professional, right? So those are the 3 different paths that you can get into the games industry. Now, I hope this was useful, and if it was, make sure to subscribe, press the like button, and also comment down below about your personal experience getting into the industry, if you are right now, or perhaps if you had any negative experiences going through QA, or going through the internship, or this talent route that you think that perhaps you're very talented but you're not getting anywhere. Drop it down below as well, because I'd like to actually comment, interact with you guys, and hopefully shed some light about some of these things that sometimes cannot happen even though you're thinking that you're doing everything correctly, right? So let's actually chat more. Also, thanks to everybody that is supporting me every single month. Their names are here. They are absolutely amazing. And until the next video, stay well, stay safe. Peace.